Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Newshour. And joining me this evening is Errol Musk. Welcome to India. You've been here for a few days. And also welcoming on the show Mr. Raman Bhatia, the man who brings Errol Musk to India as a representative on servo tech. How have your first few days in India been? And we are talking on a day which is the World Environment Day. On a day we discuss green energy with you and your appointment to the tech board. How do you look at this engagement with India?
Well, it's absolutely been wonderful, you know. Every day has been so full of activity, and if you asked me to put my finger on one thing, I wouldn't be able to, because it's just been one really marvelous thing after another, culminating yesterday with a visit to the Ram Temple. And, so it's just too short a visit, that's what I would say.
Too short?
Too short.
What were your impressions of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya?
Well, it's absolutely stunning, it's stunning. It's like a world wonder. It's like a wonder of construction. It's not something simple, it's something extremely unusual, and it's something that obviously will be there for thousands, hundreds of years. I can imagine.
Absolutely, and it has been a 500-year wait. But also welcoming Raman Bhatia. And Raman Bhatia, why Errol Musk? How did you engage with him on green energy, and what are your plans?
We as a servo-tech renewable power systems, we are doing solar products and electric vehicle chargers in India. If we are talking about EV chargers, the biggest market share with us for our DC fast chargers in India. Now in our mind, because we are doing all these products, and there are, in my mind, I want how we can create India as a global hub for these two products, so that lot of countries should take us as a substitute of China, because more than 90% market share still with the China. So everyone goes to China, but people want to find a substitute. Then why not we? Then when I found this in my mind, then fortunately we met in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Then we discussed all these things. Then I found they have so many ideas about that, and they have very good connections in African countries and in Middle East, Gulf. Then I talked to them, sir, how we can go forward. So they told me, yes, I can come with you, but before that, I just want to go through your plant, and I have to understand, are you ready for the global? So then I invite him, you come to India and please go through my plant, and if you feel everything is okay, then we will start, or if it is not okay, then you will guide us how we can build our plant for a globe. So
and do you think India is ready? The servo tech is ready?
Obviously.
Yes?
Yes, of course.
What do you think about the fact that India, as an aspirational country, wants to become a hub? What do you think about the state of technology that exists in India, and whether we can actually challenge the dominant position of China?
Well, in the West, so-called, in my son's businesses, in businesses of my colleagues, there are unbelievable number of people from India in positions such as CEO. I mean, some of the top people I meet are expatriates from India in the West. So, obviously the ability on the Indian side is there. I mean, and it's a giant country. You've already done so much. You make just about everything that can be made. And, I would say I take my hat off to India. China you know, they've been at it. They've made it a determined effort on their part to be what they are today. So you have to take your hat off to them as well, you know. But India could, pulling itself together like it's doing, will go in the same way as China, become like China. And already it's the third or fourth biggest GDP in the world. So I don't think there's anything to be concerned about as far as India is concerned.
And you said that you see a lot of people in positions, decision-making positions,
Yes.
in your son's company.
Yes.
Let me first get to your son, Elon Musk.
Yes.
Globally recognized and most spoken about individual, especially after taking over the social media space and being so active there on X.
Yes.
What do you think about the investments, the relationship between his companies and India? Tesla, it's been a wait and a wait and a wait forever.
You know, obviously, India has its needs from the point of view of the Indian, you know, economy and so forth. Any business out there has its needs, and the thing is to try and meet them, come to some agreement where it works for both. And so this will happen, and you know, so I would say without a doubt, I mean, India would be a great market for anything like, you know, Tesla or any product like Tesla. I mean, obviously it's a giant country and a huge market. So it's not only Tesla, I mean, there are many other products as well. But, you know, hands must meet, and it will take a little bit of time. So far, I think the feeling is, I think, Tesla is a public company, I can only offer my opinion. You know, the demands on the Indian side that were too great for Tesla or something to that effect, but it will come. There's no question of that. Just a matter of time.
Elon Musk hasn't been to India. If you were to go back and if you were to have a discussion over a cup of coffee or maybe a drink, what would you tell him about India?
Yes, well, I would tell him what I've just been saying to you. And he has been through India with me once when he was a boy, so a boy of 12.
About 12?
Yes, roughly, yes.
Okay, and what are your memories from that trip?
We were a very short trip on our way through to further on. Yes, the memories were good. You know, I used to take my children on trips when I was doing business around the world. So that from a very early age, you know, by the time all of the three of them were 12 or 13 years old, they'd seen most of the major capital cities in the world, or most of the major cities in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and any lasting impressions of what India was to you in your imagery in your mind from then?
Yeah, I remember I was in the south, so it was very jungle, you know, like a very tropical climate. That's what I remember. It's very long ago. So it's 41 years ago, so quite a long time ago. But I remember it.
You remember it?
Yeah, of course,
And do you think India has changed from your last visit?
Well, obviously the whole world has changed. You know, it's not just India. I mean, yes, I think India is a sort of sleeping giant, you know, to my mind, or was, and it's now gathering itself to be one of the, you know, foremost communities in the world. So anybody can see that. That's, you know, plain as day. So, yeah, no, I think the future looks great for India because you have such inspirational, such intensely interesting and interested people. They want to be part of everything, you know? So, yeah.
Absolutely. And we say this, India, aspirational country. Is that the biggest selling point, Raman Bhatti?
Only aspiration is not a selling point, I think. But yes, it can be a factor, one factor.
What else do you think?
Else, if we are talking about technology, if we are talking about innovations, so it should be a complete bouquet, right? But yes, if we are talking about the weightage, then yes, aspiration is a uh, more weightage.
So let me ask you, Errol Musk, as far as green technology is concerned, EVs are concerned, how do you look at the Indian market? Do you think in the decades to come, this will be absolutely a necessity for all countries to move towards greener technology?
Yes. Look, there's no doubt about it. Electric cars are the future. So, Servitech is at that cutting edge of providing, charging facilities for electric vehicles on a large basis, large scale. So yes, that's the future. Oil has had its day, and it really does boil down to a cleaner environment, and not only that, far better vehicles that are far easier to maintain, far easier to do a lot of things with, compared to boiling oils and boiling water and everything in front of you in a car engine. So that's dying out now, and so we are moving into a world of electric vehicles. There's no question about it.
Let me also ask you, early involvement in SpaceX. I mean, Elon's interest in SpaceX. Did you see any early signs of him having a business mind? How did it work when you took your children to various parts of the world? Exposure, great, but did you pick up something early on?
Well, I gave them a lot of exposure. From when they were born, they were flying with me privately, in my own aircraft, when I'm the pilot and so forth, and we flew to faraway places. So we did a lot of exploring around the world. I sort of opened their minds to all that kind of thing. At the same time, we are, as some people are inclined to music and art or something, we're very inclined to the tech world, technical stuff. So it sort of come naturally to us, So I was born into the world of atomic energy and atomic bombs and Sputnik. So, I was born into a very exciting world, which I sort of conveyed to my children, and we spoke about it all the time. And we went to see the Smithsonian, as soon as we could, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think in my world we put a lot of emphasis on that type of thing. And when they were kids, of course, they had hobbies like I did of making rockets, little toy rockets and stuff like that, almost getting all your hair burnt off and stuff.
Did that happen?
Oh yes, and your eyebrows, and your eyebrows, and your eyelashes. Yeah, that happened.
So did Elon give you a hard time as a child trying to do those experiments?
Well, I had to watch them. Technically, something they did that was pretty strange in a way was we put up a new shopping mall near our home in Pretoria, and I was called by the shopping people to come and sign an agreement that they'd entered into to put in a games video arcade. My two boys, when they were 17 and 16, they entered into an agreement with a shopping complex. And I nearly fell over when I saw that I was going to sign an agreement to pay for this thing for the next 5 years. So I backed out of it. But anyway, that's a longer story. But they were very upset about it. And, maybe I should have done it. But anyway, because I didn't, they in fact left the country and pursued their lives in America.
In America.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time, you said, with the children.
Oh, yeah.
Was it difficult to keep your business interests, your innovative spirit going, and having,
No, when I was very, very active I'm a consulting engineer, so I was very, very active in the 70s and early 80s. When their mother and I decided to separate, the boys stayed with me, and my daughter went with her. We had two homes, one in Durban and one in Pretoria. So my wife moved to the one in Durban, and with my daughter, and I stayed in the one in Pretoria, and the boys stayed with me. And so I found that quickly found that it's not really good for me to be away all the time because as a single parent. So I actually, within about the first 2 or 3 years, I sold my practice to my engineers who were working for me. I actually gave it to them. And then I went and we set up a horse farm. And that's where I took the children to school and back every day until they finished school. So I was like an at-home father. But I was fortunate to be able to do that, you know.
Wonderful. And how does it transform to an adult relationship with your son?
Well, you know, we're a very close family. You know, as my daughter was telling people last night, you know, I think she was saying it, not tongue-in-cheek, but we die for each other, you know, that sort of thing. So, yeah, she said it, which there's a certain amount of truth in that. And, yeah, so we're a very close family. And there has been talk that I'm like estranged from Elon. Well, that's not really true. In early 2000s, Elon and Kimball, I have 2 sons, by the way, both equally successful. And both directors of Tesla, both directors of SpaceX. Anyway, in the early 2000s, they insisted that my second wife and our children should come to live in America because of the circumstances in South Africa. They felt we weren't safe. So after much pleading by them, we agreed. So we went over to live in America, and we stayed there for a couple of years. But my Afrikaans or South African Dutch wife found America not what she liked. Like you in India, as I've noticed here in the last few days, you're very family conscious.
Yes.
And the South African Dutch people are very family conscious. It's quite common for a member of your family, your brother or your sister or somebody, to visit you 3 times a day, even 4 times a day. And every time they come, you get asked, how are you doing? You
yes.
know? And that's how the South African Dutch are. The Americans speak English, but they are not like that at all. They are workaholics, and they start their day working at 6 o'clock in the morning. They finish at 10 o'clock at night. They work on Saturdays and Sunday. If you're not in love with your job, you mustn't have that job. You must get another job. So America is different, very, very different. But you can see the results in America because they have great results. But as for family life, not much. So my wife said if she doesn't go back, she's going to commit suicide.
Oh, my God.
So we sort of ignored her, you know, and she did. She tried to commit suicide, but like, you know, sort of with tablets and stuff. But we had to get her to a hospital, and we saw how serious it was, that she was really very unhappy. And we decided we are going to leave. Now, my passports were kept by Elon's office, you see, our passports. So what we had to do, we had to get temporary passports, and we had to rush to the airport, and we left everything we had behind, everything, every single thing we had. Beautiful home in Beverly Hills, everything. We left it all behind and flew back to South Africa, where I still had one home, and we started over. And my son said to me that they said to us that they will never speak to us again. And I said to my younger son, but surely you realize how we feel. And he said, sorry, if you want to speak to us again, it'll be 10 years from now. And they stuck to it.
And they stuck to it.
They stuck to it.
And today, now?
Oh, yes, no, we're on good terms, very good terms. They did, after a couple of years, say, would we not be prepared to send back their 2 half-sisters, Alexandra, who's, by the way, here in India with me, and Rose, because they were still at school and they feared for them in South Africa. So we sent them back to live with my sons.
Okay.
So they actually have
Is it an easy relationship? Is it a warm relationship?
It was always a very close relationship, intense relationship. You know, in their opinion, you do what, you know, they just took over. You do what we think is right, or it's the highway, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it's very good now. And
one statement now on SpaceX.
Sorry?
You told me during the SpaceX launch.
Yes.
He have given one statement about you.
Yes. Well, in a SpaceX launch about 12 months ago, you know, Elon invited me to a SpaceX launch, and in Texas, you know, at Boca Chica. So I went. We all went, you know, the whole family, and And the launch was very successful, that particular launch. And after that, we had a party for the SpaceX employees, about 250, a wonderful big celebration. And Elon stopped the celebration and said, to everyone, this is my dad. He's bigger than me now, so I was like... So he said to me, this is my dad, everyone. He taught me everything I know about engineering, which was a very nice thing for him to say. And I immediately said, no, you've taught yourself a lot. But, yeah, so that is the sort of situation we have at the moment. But
were you surprised when he joined Trump in his government?
Well, yes, I was. I was surprised because up to about 7 years ago, 8 years ago roughly, when I turned 70, they came to Cape Town for my 70th birthday, my two sons, and they brought with them about 50 people from America. And for a party for my birthday, you see. And during this party, one of the film actors, John Favreau, said to me, we believe, this is just before the 2016 election, we believe you support Trump. And I said, yes, I support Trump. And they all burst into laughter. And then they said, well, why do you support Trump? And I said, well, he's a businessman. It's much better than a career politician. And then they all laughed. No, he's a con man. He's a crook. He's a thief. He's a bad man. You're stupid, and everything. Anyway, after the lunch and everybody had left, my two sons came to me and said, what's wrong with you? Couldn't you say I don't know? So I said, so they said, don't you get it? Trump is evil. You are evil, because I support Trump. I said, look, I don't know. Anyway, so they left, went back to America, and we sort of went over a few times after that because my daughters were graduating and so on. And we just didn't talk politics. And we just kept out of it. And then along came the Biden administration, and it wasn't long before Elon concluded that there's something wrong. Biden invited all the electric car manufacturers to a week-long discussion at the White House in 2021 to discuss America being an electric car country by 2035. Didn't invite Tesla.
Okay.
Didn't invite Tesla. Oh. Tesla that year had sold 1 million electric vehicles and had about 450,000 on order. But Tesla was not invited. And
any reason?
No, Biden gave no reason. They don't like Tesla. They don't like anything that's successful, the Dems. There's something wrong with them, in my opinion. It's a mental problem. But anyway, so they introduced the head of GM. The other 5 manufacturers had made 26 electric vehicles during that year, sold none. And Biden introduced the head of GM, a woman, as the leading person in electric car manufacture. Elon started saying at that point that Biden must be a lunatic. Now, he's inclined to do that, If he doesn't think if he thinks there's something wrong with you, he's inclined to say straight away, are you stupid or what? That's unfortunately from the day he was 4 or 5 years old, he was doing that. I've had to tell him you can't do that. I still tell him you can't do that. But at any rate...
If he didn't listen to you at 4 years, I'm not sure he would listen to you today.
No, it's very difficult with him. My younger son I've seen my younger son screaming at him and saying, I speak to the customers. You don't speak to the customers. You just go and do your work. Because Elon can be short with people, you see. Anyway, he started calling Biden a lunatic. So I saw this and it was in the press, and I immediately got hold of him. I said, hey, these are political statements. Do you realize you're making, these people will kill you. You can't make statements like that, they'll kill you. They don't play games. I said, how are your bodyguards? And then shortly after that, Twitter came out with thousands, tens of thousands of bots, or rather tweets, saying that he must leave the country, he's no good to America, he's a thief, he steals government money, which of course was all not true at all. And he couldn't understand this. He said, well, why? What? Then people explained to him, this is not people, these are bots or robot tweets that are being put out by the crooked FBI, which is now being cleaned out in America, and by the Dems, who are now no longer in power and are going to face the music as well. They are putting these things out deliberately.
So he bought Twitter instead? With
bots, yes. They're putting it. Twitter is not an honest site. And so Elon said, well, who owns Twitter? They said, well, it's basically a private company. So he said, okay, then I'm buying it. So at that time, we thought Twitter was worth $7 billion for its database, which is a lot of money. But they managed to push the price up to $44 billion to try and stop him. But he still bought it. And as you know, today it's X, fired 7,000 out of 8,000 employees immediately. That was done by his nephew, his cousin, my nephew, my brother's son, and who runs X now. And it's now really the only free speech, genuine free speech platform in the world. So all those people have seen their behinds, you might say.
So then...
and then he turned to Trump.
So
then
with Trump, is it love on the rebound?
Yes, he did a complete 180, joined Trump, and you know, and they've made a great success of things. So, for people like myself, I'm essentially a tech businessman. I'm not into crazy, weird ideas. Or I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And to me, we have a world now where things are going to start working properly, and that would work properly for all the countries.
But then he's out of Trump's doge as well.
Well, his tenure, they now have the team is working on its own. So they have a federal employees who are now doing the job that he set them up to do.
His job is criticizing Trump's spending, the kind of debt that has...
A lot of that is media. And then when you...
Kill the bill is media?
A lot of it is media, but at the same time, when you look at any business deals and any things that are being contemplated, they have to go through Congress. So there's a convoluted process where people get things done, sometimes by saying they don't want them done, if you understand. Because it's a case of pulling the wool over the opposition's eyes.
Oh, so this is...
Well, you know,
this is a conspiracy theory, or is this a conversation that you've had?
Well, it's like any business, you know. That's why you're not allowed to have spies of yours in somebody else's business. People would do that if they could. But generally, when you're in competition, you have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of your competitors. So if your competitors think you're going to go this way,
you go the other way.
You go the other way, or you let them think you're going this way. Sorry?
Is he conning the people of America by separating from Trump, but
I didn't
thick
say
with
that.
Him? Well, I'm drawing the
But you're very smart people.
So tell me also about the fact that in India, I believe you've done the Ram Temple Ayodhya visit, and now the next destination is the ISKCON Temple?
Yes, and we're going to plant a tree today for Environmental Day. You know, not that Delhi needs any more trees. I mean, it's got the most beautiful trees, this city. But we're going to plant a tree today, obviously, for Environmental Day. Yeah, it's a nice thing, and we will see this.
But do you see something that attracts you to the Indian temples?
Yes, yes. The Indian people, something in the West, so-called West, if you call it the West, the people have lost their beliefs in not totally lost, but they aren't spiritual anymore. You know, people. You always get laughed at in the West today if you say somebody, when they say, I'm a very God-fearing person, and my children are too, and I believe in God, you know. And if you say that in the West, they sometimes think they make a joke of it or something like that. And if you, in the West, say, if you were to say, for example, on some issue, I would like to go and pray on it, they'll think, well, what's wrong with you, you know? But here, they would say, I will pray with you.
Okay.
Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
So
We pray for the smallest possible thing.
Yes.
Raman Bhatia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
We pray that this interview would go well. We pray that
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yes.
you know, my meeting will go
Yes.
well. So
Yes, yes.
we pray for everything.
yes.
Everything.
yes, exactly. And I say that to people in the West.
We believe
you know,
in manifestation so much.
I say that to people. I actually say that. They say to me, so you pray? I say, yes, I pray all the time. You know, if I'm in interviews, I've actually been in interviews where people have said to me, talked like this, and then I said, yes, I pray all the time. And then they said, when did you last pray? I said, I've been praying while we're having this meeting. That you don't cock it up.
Day before yesterday, they have also visited electronic plant, electric vehicle chargers and solar inverters plant also, because there are technical. He is a technical.
So
person.
technology,
Yeah.
science, and you know, religion and spiritualism.
Yes.
You don't think they are contradicting?
No, no, not at all. No, no. No, we are all children of something much greater than what we are. And so we try our best to be part of that, I would imagine, you know. So I fully believe that. You know, Elon used to have a saying at university, there are no atheists at exam time.
Exactly. Yes.
No
It is at
time.
exam time. Maybe more result time.
Oh, I don't know. But no atheists at exam time.
So let me ask you. Yes, exam time brings me to the question of what the standoff between Trump and Harvard is all about. Do you think it's a good thing? Harvard under fire, Columbia under fire.
Well, you know, the things they've been doing at these universities have been, in my opinion, they've lost their path. You know, they're moving into things that are politically fiery or something like that. And then, of course, Harvard had a principal who had plagiarized her thesis to become, you know, PhD. You don't want an institution like that to be besmirched like that. You know, that's just Harvard.
But to completely ban foreign students...
No, I don't think there's... No, I think that's... A bit of that is the press overstating the case. No, Elon himself has pointed out that he is a foreign student, was a foreign student, and that he wouldn't have been able to be in America if it hadn't been for the fact that America allows and provides for foreign students. What they are probably really aiming at is abuse of the system, you know, abuse of the system. So I wouldn't get too worried about that. Certainly, it's not going to change very much. The good students are going to still be able to go to all of these places. Columbia was becoming too anti-Semitic, as you probably know. I mean, there's reasons for everything. Both sides have an argument. But at the same time, you don't want to make an institution go one way or the other, you know, and that's
what happens to free speech, for which 44
free
billion...
speech, yes, but not to the extent that people are in danger and so forth, you know. You have to keep a little bit of law and order.
Little bit of law and order
Yes.
justified. So let me ask you a few things, you know, about your trip to India. What's your favorite Indian food?
Well, I like the mutton curry. You know, I've had every day I've had mutton
Indian?
curry. Yes, mutton curry
Mutton
every
curry.
day.
Every day? Okay.
Oh, I'm going to change, but today I'll still have mutton curry.
You'll still. And what is the one Indian festival that you think you would want to celebrate with your family?
Well, I don't know all the. I know the big one is Diwali.
Yes.
Yes.
So
I suppose that would be nice.
that would be nice.
Yes.
If you could take Elon on a road trip anywhere in India, where would that be?
I would really like to take him to where I was at the temple. I would like to take him, I suppose, to the Taj Mahal.
Okay.
You know, and I would like to. I'm very interested in the Himalayas area. You know, with the higher ground. up there. I like the idea of Kashmir. It's the history, the fascinating history, and things like that. But there's not one place. I would like to see Mumbai, I'd like to see Bhopal. I'd like to see all the
Okay.
places.
Yeah. So India's growing on you.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to fly to the temple, so I was able to see quite a fair bit of the Indian landscape. That was very nice, and everything is. I'm impressed by how it's possible to provide electricity, water, good roads, and all the things that go with a community in a place as big as Delhi. It's just quite amazing to me as an engineer. The engineering side of it, I would like to spend a week with the people who run the city and explain to me how they do it. Because I don't know how they do it.
And we are a large population.
I just don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it happens. It's called the Indian Jugaad.
They must be brilliant, really.
Have you explained to him what Jugaad means? We make just things happen. We don't have the best resources sometimes. Give us 2 wires and we'll probably just with those 2 wires make a good speaker system, make a good television. So that's called the Indian Jugaad.
Yes.
Things are not working, well, connect.
Since the last 3 days, we are explaining them what is a jugaad. Because we have done so many jugads for them.
Amazing. What would you choose, paneer tikka or butter chicken? What's your pick for a Musk family dinner in India?
Well, my kids are much more. They're much more. What do you call it? They're prepared to experiment more than me, But I know Elon loves Indian food. You see, because I know that because he's taken me a lot of times to Indian restaurants. But the food that is easier, like I like the butter chicken. It's simpler. Yes. And I was told it was Englishmen who figured that thing out or something at some stage. Not.
Certainly not.
Not. I was told yesterday that because it's cream or something, I don't know. Not. Anyway.
A cream has been, as long around in India as long as milk has been.
No. Maybe I misunderstood, but anyway, or maybe it's a dish that appeals more.
Yes.
Or something.
That's true. Have you heard any Indian songs, Bollywood songs?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Bollywood in South Africa.
Yeah.
We have a channel, Bollywood channel.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you?
I've watched a few shows, quite a few shows.
And can you hum a song? Because in Bollywood cinema is all about the songs and dances.
They're in my head, but I'm not a good musician. I'm really lousy at music.
But which one?
No, I know, Is that right?
What's the one value or tradition in India that you think people in the West should have?
Well, it's a very loving community. People seem to care about each other here a lot. There's no aggression. People seem very well disposed to each other all the time. I would like to see that spread to the West. I've just come from London. I'd like to see that spread to London a bit.
The English can be a little cold. And Raman Bhatia, you must be doing something very right. That he's seen the best side of India, caring people,
yes.
not aggressive.
He also loves cricket so much. So day before yesterday, bats and cricket, ball.
Yes.
Yeah. In our plant.
Yeah, we played some cricket there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You played cricket?
Yeah.
As a child, I played cricket, of course. Everybody played cricket.
In South Africa, yes.
No,
not in America.
Everybody in
he talked to
every
me
single
about
person.
Suryavanshi, that 14 years guy.
Okay, yes.
Talked to me about them. Then he told me, I want to play some cricket.
Cricket. Amazing. What's the most surprising, amazing thing about India that you learned after you visited?
Well, I mean, there's so many. I wouldn't be able to point at anything particular. I mean, I was immediately struck by the beauty of the Delhi airport. Delhi's airport, beautiful. I was really impressed by that. It was beautiful, and so I can't say this or that. I suppose as an engineer, I'm impressed by the the size of the city, and as I said a few minutes ago, the ability to provide services to so many people. You know, it's a boring subject for a lot of people, but for me as an engineer, that was my world, is providing these kind of services to the community. And how they managed to do it for so many people so well is amazing, absolutely amazing.
What's the most exciting thing in the tech field about India?
Well, you know, there's so many things. You know, India's launched satellites. There's so many things that have been done here, you know. But if I just take Servotech, for example, their factory is very beautiful, very clean, very thorough, and producing numbers of charging stations and such like at a phenomenal rate. And so, you know, obviously, you know, one is immediately impressed, you know, so much so you think, I'd like to find, I said to Ramon, find me a spot there, I'd like to join. You know, we're getting this thing going.
Would you recommend a visit to India to Elon?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah, I already have, actually.
You have?
Yes, yes.
And what was his response?
Oh, my son's never, well, with me it's yes, no, maybe.
Yeah? So was it a yes or a no or a maybe?
I haven't heard back yet from them, because I've only been here 2 or 3 days. But no, you know, they listen to me. The daughters are very quick to come back to me, you know. So, as you probably know, the girls talk to their parents. The boys only if they have to.
Only if they have to, absolutely. So how would you describe Elon in 3 words?
Very energetic. Energetic, always interested in everything around him, and a good person.
Good person?
Very good person.
Really?
Oh, yes.
And if you were to give him one piece of advice, what would you tell him?
Well, I would say to him at the age he's at now, he should get more rest. I know it sounds boring to say that, but he's not going to listen, so I don't have to worry about him listening, you know. For him, rest would be 2 days, and that would be too long. But, yeah, I would say, you know, try and get some rest. You know, come to India, take a break. Not going to do it.
Not going to do it. Well, let me also ask you. You've been a politician as well. What do you think about Trump's comments about genocide against whites in South Africa, and Elon's own comments about discriminatory laws there?
Well, yes, the things that Trump did were very good for the small community. Oddly enough, in South Africa, about 10% of the population, or maybe 8% of the population, is made up of people from Europe and people from India. That small 8%, the European or white and the Indians, employ the entire country apart from outside of government. So all employment in South Africa is provided by the previously European community and previously Indian community, which are now Indian South Africans and, you know, European South Africans. They employ the rest of the country. So if you just look at it from that point of view, then you've got these actual murders that are taking place, not politically motivated, but more because with the government that we've got, most of the government departments have stopped functioning. We don't have a police force anymore. So there's no effective police. So a lot of the people that are being killed in the rural areas are being killed gruesomely by opportunistic robbers. You know what I mean? Who see soft targets. And so, you know, several thousand have been, ordinary people have been killed simply because they're a soft target and there's no police. So when you talk about genocide, it's a kind of, you know, indirect type of genocide. The government does nothing about it. In fact, elements of the government call for it. Kill the farmers, kill the farmers, kill the farmers. They teach the children that at school. Kill the farmers, kill the farmers. Teach the children that at school. So, you know, it's a dynamic situation in South Africa. And nobody's happy with the situation. And Trump, I have to be armed all the time. when people...
Are you carrying a...
No, in South Africa.
Just...
People are all armed. You know, most of the men are armed. You have to be. My house is surrounded by electric fences, razor wire, and so forth. We have 3 private police forces that patrol our town. This is the way it is in South Africa. So Trump exposed it, you see. The black government officials went there thinking they were going to get more money from the stupid Americans. Instead, they got the video that they saw. Yeah. And it is bad in South Africa. So it's not...
He's not far from the truth.
Sorry?
He's not far from the truth.
No, not at all.
And what do you think about the leadership in India?
In India? Oh,
Prime
very good.
Minister Modi.
Yeah, I always... Modi's been very good. I've always liked to see him. He seems to beam a sort of positivity, you know. So it's often interesting to see him on the news. Of course, that's the only place I've ever seen him. But I've kind of indirectly picked up he's worth listening to, you know. Yeah, a good man. Very good man, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And do you, since you have a political background, do you follow any of the politics in India?
Oh, no, I wouldn't know too much of the politics, of the internal politics. I have learned that there are 32 states, and each state has its own chief minister, and everybody's violently independent of one another, you know, or rather, let's put it this way, viciously independent of one another, and all claiming that they're better than everybody else, which is great, and so forth. So, yeah, I think it's a great setup. It's a great setup.
It's a great setup. So, Raman Bhatia, when are you getting Errol Musk back to India?
Very soon.
Well, as soon as possible, I imagine.
Yeah.
Because we are coming with one new plant in Abu Dhabi or any GCC country. We are going to establish that plant also with the help of Mr. Musk. And we are wanting to start globally soon.
Okay, so it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much, Raman Bhatia. And we look forward to more of Indian companies, more partnerships, and a great way forward for tech and for a safe and better environment. Thank you very much, Mr. Musk, Mr. Bhatia, for joining.
Namaskar.
Namaste.